Good morning, kids. HooDeeHoooo! It's that greatest day of the week again. It's Monday, my favorite day of the week. I love Mondays. It's, it's a in the life of the serial entrepreneur. It's just another great day, and the way I look at it is it's the beginning of another new week. And you know, Mondays are just it's Mondays spell opportunity to me, and because that's when a lot of people are thinking about opportunity, thinking about business, thinking about work, thinking about changing their life, that kind of thing. Mondays are usually a day that people who have regular jobs hate, and they loathe the fact that Monday is here, and they can't wait for Friday to get here. And it's an interesting cycle. I know that it's one I haven't had to participate in since I was 19 years old. Now I'm going on 54 years young, and I love Mondays. So welcome to Monday, kids. I hope you're having a great day so far. Steph, good seeing you, honey. We need to talk after the show because I need to know what's going on with Dennis. And Rodgar, Corolla, good to see you, kids. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I had an awesome weekend. It was fun filled and got lots of work done. I'm continuing to work on a project. I'm going to share this with everybody once I get it done. But I'm trying to put together a formal email to send out to restaurants, because I've been going out and trying to contact at least one or two restaurants every single day, and I'm getting a lot of asking for information through email and that kind of thing. And so I'm going to put something together. I'm going to put together a nice professional looking email that I can send out to everybody that will hopefully garner some interest and give me an opportunity to show them the little 5-minute demonstration. That usually this 5-minute demonstration ends up turning into like a half hour or 45-minute demonstration, because when they see it, it opens up all kinds of curiosity and questions and that kind of thing. But anyway, for today, I'm going to have a fairly short show. Don't have a guest today. And my good buddy, Gerry Kostecka, he put out a post this weekend asking for feedback about this book right here. And it's called Ride the Wave. And I bought this book and have been reading through it. It's called the 6A edition, a step-by-step guide for success as an Enagic distributor. I recommend that you get this book and read it. It is really, really good. Gerry's a long time Enagic distributor. I think he's been in it about 12, 13 years, something like that. He's produced all kinds of really, really awesome videos, awesome marketing materials, awesome learning materials. And anyway, so I figured that this would, because I'm about halfway through this book, and it's maybe only about a third of the way through it, but it's so far very valuable stuff. And what I want to read, I'm going to read some stuff to you this morning from the section that's called the competition, which is interesting because Gerry calls them the leeches, because that's basically what they are. They're just a bunch of blood-sucking leeches that they're piggybacking off of Enagic, and if you punch in KONGen water into Google, you will see that the first three things that come up on a Google search of KONGen water are three of our so-called competitors. And what they are is they're paid advertisements, and they're paying big money to be at the top of a KONGen search, so that they can twist information and that kind of thing. And Gerry's got some interesting stuff in here about competition. And quite frankly, I wanted to read it again because I read it once. I want to read it again. I'm going to read it again and again until I really get it down. Because what this part talks about is it talks about the competition, which there really is none. And then it also talks about something that I think is really interesting, which is whether you're going to slam your competition, or whether you're going to just warn your customers about your competition. And he talks about that we shouldn't be slamming our competition, because number one, they're not our competition and they don't deserve our slamming them. There's no reason why we need to do that. And sometimes, as he points out in this section, sometimes slamming your competition can actually have a detrimental effect and actually work the opposite way of what you're hoping for. But so anyway, I'm going to bop into this section here and start with this part right here. He says, today there are basically three different types of companies in the water ionizer industry operating in the U.S. and abroad. There are manufacturers, there are private label manufacturers, and resellers. Enagic is really the only manufacturer operating globally today, meaning that they actually manufacture their own brand of ionizers, and the sales and service are actually handled by them as well. This is very important because it illustrates the level of commitment the company has to the products and the industry. One little point to make right here that I thought was really interesting, and quite frankly, I'm really impressed by this aspect of Enagic, and that is that that Enagic produces everything that goes into a KONGen water machine. Everything. Like, they even make the box. They make all the literature. They make everything that goes into it. They make literally everything from start to finish. And even better, I think that this is even more important. They don't build these machines on an assembly line. They don't like have one person put in this little doohickey and then slide it down to the next person who puts in the next little doohickey or anything like that. What they do is one person builds one machine from start to finish. And so they might have 100 technicians that are putting each machine together, but the point is it doesn't get slid down the line to the next person. You got one person doing the whole job, and they literally make everything, from every little clip, every hose, everything. And so they are truly an OEM manufacturer, original equipment manufacturer, and they're the only ones in the industry that are doing that. So if you are not actually making a product, it is very easy to walk away from it if things slow down, or if you just don't feel like representing that product anymore. When you manufacture a product and provide all the support, it means that you have committed to the product for the long haul. Tens of millions of dollars have been invested in research and development, in manufacturing, tooling and machinery, in facilities, in staff, in warranty and support. These are just a few of the things that really make the difference when you are a full-service manufacturer, the difference between Enagic and the competition. After an actual manufacturer are the private label manufacturers. These are companies which build ionizers, but they primarily do so for other companies. They don't normally build ionizers which reflect their own company name or brand. This is the only time I will mention any other company by name, because I think it is extremely important that as a distributor, you are familiar with these companies. Dongyang Science Company Limited is based in Korea, but they also conduct marketing and sales operations under the names M-Kotech and Royal Water. They build machines for about 10 different brands. There are slight differences in features and design, but the core technology is exactly the same, and over 95% of the actual components of these machines are identical. There are a bunch of different brands which are nothing more than the exact same technology and components, just with a different name. These include Jupiter, IonWays, AlkaViva, Echo, and others. While these machines have a sticker with a different brand name on the front of the ionizers they sell, when they talk about their ionizers, they are referring to models that are actually Dongyang machines. Another important point about the private label brands is that the actual manufacturer does not provide service support for the machines. It is provided by a company that usually has no real experience or expertise in ionizer repair and maintenance. They mainly sell them. KONGen has no branches here in the US, so there is no way to get local support from the company that actually manufactured the machine. Obviously, this is a huge drawback for anyone purchasing one of these machines. The last groups are the resellers. These are the independent sellers that are authorized to sell and distribute here in the US on behalf of the company, most of which are in Korea. There are currently 2 or 3 main resellers operating in the US. Again, these are not the manufacturers, and support service is only available while these companies are in business. We recently saw an example of what happens to consumers when one of these resale companies goes under. There used to be a resale company operating here in the US that is no longer in business. Now, any previous customer of this company has no support or service available at all. They can't even get a replacement filter once their old one needs to be replaced. The core technology and components used by these companies are pretty much the same as the other Korean companies. There is a lot more detailed information about the competition out there, but this at least gives you a basic understanding of these other ionizer companies. As for the other products, the bottom line is that they are less expensive for a reason, which is quality and output, nothing more. Really, don't you think that these companies would sell their machines for more money if they could? It's a good point. Does it not stand to reason that if these machines were actually the same, and if people were willing to pay more, that they would charge more? These other machines cost less because they are worth less. Worthless. Period. Spin masters. The majority of our competition are virtual internet-based resellers that I refer to as spin masters. And, now he has come up with another new name for these people. He calls them leeches. And I like both, spin masters and leeches. These are people that can turn babble into benefit, flaws into features, garbage into gold. Their expertise is convincing consumers that an inferior product is superior by spinning the truth or by redirection. You see, while these people may be devious, they are not stupid. In fact, they are very cunning and calculating in their approach, and they have a systematic way that they do things. This is what they do for a living. You have to understand that there's a lot of psychology and emotional manipulation employed by these resellers. They've worked very hard to develop a way to manipulate information and utilize emotional response in order to sway people to purchase their products. If you took a no-nonsense, common-sense look at the competition from the perspective of a consumer, there would be no way that someone would purchase their products, and they know it. Morning, everybody. Hey, Sean, John, Marilyn. Good seeing you guys. I hope you guys are getting some value out of this. I know that this part you just came in. I'm reading from the book Ride the Wave by Gerry Kostecka, and I highly recommend this book. Right now we're talking about the competition. This is an interesting little section of the book about the so-called competition that's out there. So this is why they engage in spinning their product features, redirecting emphasis on price instead of benefit, and attacking method of market introduction instead of product quality and performance. They know that this is what they have to do in order to effectively sell their machines. The best way to protect against this is to warn your prospects of what they will be facing when they go on the internet to find out more. You have to realize that there is a very fine line between slamming the competition and warning prospects. What we want to do, kids, is we want to warn our prospects. We don't want to slam our competition. There's no need to do that because we don't have any competition. So he says you have to realize that there is a very fine line between slamming the competition and warning the prospects of the misinformation and redirection they will find online. So try not to cross that line. Informing your prospects of what they will find is fine. In fact, it is your responsibility to let them know so they do not fall victim to these campaigns. Just don't let your informing turn into bad mouthing or berating the competition. That is basically stooping to their level, which we do not need to do as we have a superior product. I address this in the 60-second Internet Expert section of the book, but I think this is important enough to go into it a little deeper. Here are examples of the two approaches, informing and slamming. Informing. Now that you know a little more about the water, I figured that you will do your due diligence and find out even more by doing some internet research. I know I would. I just want to warn you about some of the things you might find. You see, our company has become very successful by offering the best ionizers available. And whenever you're the best, other products try to copy you and say they are just as good. As consumers, we see it in advertising all the time. Well, unfortunately, our product is no different, and we've found being the best comes at a price. Let me just warn you about what you might run into. First, you may come across a website that looks like an unbiased consumer review site that promotes itself as the authority to turn to when looking for an ionizer. Just so you are aware, there are no unbiased websites that have reviewed ionizers. Consumer Reports has not yet done a review on ionizers, and all the other sites are owned or operated by an ionizer company or distributor. Second, you may run into one of the smear campaigns initiated by the competition. Basically, these are campaigns embedded into search results that try to convince consumers that the price difference of our products and theirs are because of the way the products are sold, not because ours are superior products. You know, they're bashing the fact that we're direct sales, and they love to call us a pyramid scheme and all that kind of stuff. I know you are a savvy consumer and that you would not fall for that, but I figure I should at least mention it. I think it is funny that they would blatantly insult the intelligence of consumers by insinuating that a company would stay in business for over 40 years selling an overpriced product. We all know that an overpriced product could never survive for that long in a retail market. The last thing you might run into is the competition spins. This is when the competition starts doing component comparisons between their products and ours. They take what we would consider design flaws and try to turn them into features, and I will give them this. They are pretty good at it. They have been able to take some real negatives and make them almost sound impressive. But again, I feel that they are insulting consumers by employing this strategy. Consumers know when a company starts comparing their product to another one that theirs is inferior and the one being compared to is the superior product. We've all known this since products started doing comparisons. Yet they do it anyway. These are a few things that I wanted to warn you about so you don't get distracted or misled during your own research. Yes, this seems like a lot, and it is. Believe it or not, once you have said this a few times, you can run through just about all of it in just a couple of minutes. It will take time for you to get to the point that you can convey all this information quickly, but that time will come. Please do not try to use the above as a script to recite to prospects. Just use it as a guide of the type of information you will want to warn them about as they take the next step in the exposure process. So, like for me, what I'm going to do is make sure that I've got this part of the book marked, and I'm going to read these particular passages over and over and over and over and over again until they're literally embedded into my brain cell, so that I can pretty much, repeat this information at a whim anytime to anybody at any place and have it not sound like I'm reading from a book. And so now here is an example of slamming the competition. So kids, this is the part we want to stay away from. We don't want to be slamming our competition. We don't need to do it. And as you're going to hear in this part, you know, it can very well be detrimental to what we're trying to do when we start trying to make other people look bad instead of just promoting ourselves. So, slamming. This is his example of slamming. Just in case you decide to go onto the internet, I want to warn you about what you will find. There are these fake product review websites that are nothing but a bunch of lies. Each site is owned by the company that gets the best review. They just say that their product is the best and that ours are just okay. They are just a bunch of liars. Then there are these smear campaigns that say that the only reason that our products are priced so high is because the company pays distributors to sell the products. It's just a bunch of lies, and these guys are a bunch of scumbags. Then they attack our products, saying that theirs have better features and are priced lower. They're just a bunch of liars, so don't believe what they say. Taking the slamming approach can actually be counterproductive. Calling the competition liars makes you sound petty and unprofessional. Besides, there are ways to allude to the fact that someone is dishonest without calling them a liar. And we would do well to learn how to do this stuff. And this is not out of the book. It's just my own, thoughts about this particular part. We would do well to learn how to expose somebody without calling them names. I know this is something that I seriously need to work on, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do this episode today. So, in taking the slamming approach, you might actually end up planting seeds or ideas that will end up benefiting the competition. In my example, I said, there are these smear campaigns that say that the only reason that our products are priced so high is because the company pays distributors to sell the products. I have heard people say this exact thing. I don't think they realize that by saying this, they are actually the ones that planted the idea of our products being overpriced because distributors are getting paid. See, that's a good point right there, you guys. If you're saying that they're saying our products are overpriced, we're the one putting that into their heads. And the truth is, our products are not overpriced. The KONGen water machines are not overpriced. They are incredibly well priced. And the truth of the matter is, if they were sold in regular stores, they would probably cost about 10 grand. It'd probably be about $10,000 for an SD501 because of all the different processes that go in to getting a product onto the store shelf at Wally World. Okay, so remember that. So don't be planning that. Don't be talking about our marketing plan or our products as if they are overpriced or as if our marketing plan is a bad thing, okay? So you have to be very careful what you say, how you say it, as it is very easy to convey the wrong message. It is much better to be professional and provide information instead of just criticism. When dealing with the competition, it really boils down to understanding the three main things that influence the creation of ionized water, which are total surface area of the electrodes, the plates, amount of time the water is in contact with the electrodes, and the amount of power surging through the electrodes. These are the three factors that will determine the strength of the properties of the water and how long it will last, or how long the machines will last. This is one of the most important aspects of our machines and the reason that we are able to sample our water. This is something really important, you guys. There's no competition out there who samples water. Not a single one. Nobody. We actually, as part of our marketing plan, we sample water. We give water away for free to anybody who wants to try it. And hopefully we all, when we're doing that sampling, we're doing it the right way. We can maybe do another, I'm sure that there's going to be, in fact, I know there's a part in here that talks about how to properly sample water. And we'll get into that at a later date. I'll probably continue to do some of this throughout this book in hopes of getting people to get it. You want this book, I promise you guys. This is really good stuff that's going to help you get to that 6A2-3 where you really want to be. And so the features, the following are the main so-called features that the competition has put their spin on to make them sound like positive selling points instead of the product weaknesses that they actually are. These are the things that you will want to learn, to really learn how to explain to prospects if and when the topic arises. If you know the hows and the whys of the engineering of the competitors' products, it becomes much easier to deal with the topic. First is mesh plate electrodes. In theory, a flat surface with holes in it could actually create a greater amount of total surface area than that of a solid surface. The catch is that the plate would have to be very thick in order to actually accomplish this, which is just not the case when it comes to the mesh plate electrodes in the majority of the competition machines. If you see one of these plates, you will discover that they are practically paper thin and that the connection that passes electricity to the plate is just a flimsy post wedged into some of the mesh screen and sticking off of the side. I think it is an important part of every distributor's education to make sure that they at least see a picture of a mesh plate compared to a plate from an enagic ionizer. If at all possible, they should try to see and feel an actual plate from one of these machines. Doing so will remove all doubt that mesh plates are in any way superior to the solid plates used in the enagic machines. These plates are touted as being superior and more efficient when nothing could be further from the truth. They reduce cost, which is why they are used. At the thickness of these plates, the holes do not increase the surface area. If anything, the surface area is decreased as a result of the mesh plates. These types of plates are less expensive to manufacture and to plate with the platinum, which is why they are used, period. The following is a quote from a competitor's website talking about mesh plate electrodes. This is where they put their spin regarding mesh plates. 5 of the most advanced mesh platinum titanium electrodes in the world. The electrodes are covered in a super fine mesh with very distinct high points and valleys. After extensive investigation and research, it was discovered that the distinct high points and valleys were in fact nothing more than holes. But what a spin. They took the fact that their plates have holes in them and turned it into an impressive sounding feature that would fool even the savviest of consumers. Here's another one. Auto heat shutoff sensor. This is one of my favorite spins because it is just so ridiculous. This particular feature will be called slightly different things depending on the brand. It may be an overheat detector or a high temperature overload or a temperature sensor auto shutoff. And sometimes they will use very impressive verbiage to try to make it sound even more impressive. This is an actual quote from a competitor's website. High temperature overload, automatic transthermal temperature sensor shutoff and reset protection. Sounds impressive. Yeah, it does sound impressive to the waning mind. But no matter what they're called, they all do the same thing, which is shut down the flow of electricity to the electrodes if the machine starts to overheat. Now let's consider this feature from a consumer perspective, but let's put it in a context that may be more familiar to the American consumer: automobiles. So let's say that you buy a new car, and after driving it for a little while, the temperature starts to go up. Then without warning, it reaches a hot enough temperature that the car automatically turns itself off, thus avoiding any severe damage that may be caused from overheating. If you have ever been driving a car and had it die, you know what a nightmare that can be. Imagine if the car dying was actually intentional. It's a scary thought. Now, seriously, if this scenario happened to you, would you keep this car? Or would you take it back to the dealership to demand your money back? Or to at least demand that they fix the overheating problem? Honestly, could you even for a second ever believe that a car automatically shutting off when it gets too hot is somehow a benefit? You wouldn't think so, yet people are duped by this spin in the ionizer industry all the time. Okay, here's another fun one. Dual filters. This is another great spin because it would seem that two would be better than one. It makes sense until you understand why there are two filters. You see, the filter of an ionizer is supposed to remove impurities and make the water as pristine as possible before entering the electrolysis chamber. This should be able to be accomplished using a single filter. So why is it that some other ionizers have dual filters? The reason may surprise you, but it is to put stuff in the water, not to take it out. To fully appreciate why this is being done, you really do need to understand some of the fundamentals of ionization. The main thing you need to know is that in order to ionize water through electrolysis, there must be minerals present in the water. These act as conductors for the electrical charge. The more minerals in the water, the greater the conductivity. The greater the conductivity, the greater the ionization. Because the makers of many of these other machines know that the power surging through the machine is not sufficient to ionize with the mineral content that is found in most tap water, they add additional minerals into the water from this second filter, which creates a slightly stronger charge. Some of these minerals also have a higher pH level, so when tested with pH drops, the water will appear to have a higher alkaline level than if it solely went off of the pH created from ionization without the extras. Using additives to boost the pH level kind of defeats the whole purpose of ionizing the water, which is to effectively use the mineral content that is found in the source water to maximize the splitting of alkaline and acidic water that is inherent in the water. One more issue that can be created by the introduction of these added minerals into the electrolysis chamber is overcalcification. One of the most popular minerals that are used in the second filter of these dual filter machines is calcium. When water passes through the second filter, additional calcium is released into the water. While this will increase the conductivity of the source water, it will also allow even more calcium to build up in the machine. In case I have not mentioned it before, mineral buildup is the killer of these machines, which is the main reason that you should make sure your machine is cleaned often. To actually add more calcium to already hard water makes no sense at all. The slight benefit that may be created from the added conductivity does not justify the potential harm being inflicted on the machine. Okay, so that deals with the filters, the double filters. And then the next little thing here, there's just a little bit more to go. Auto flow control sensor. This is another masterfully spun feature of many of the other ionizers. And again, in order to truly appreciate the spin, you have to understand some basics about ionization. Remember, the three main factors that will influence the quality of the water produced by an ionizer: power, plate size, length of time the water is in physical contact with the plate. Since the designers of these other machines know that they have lower powered machines and much smaller total plate surface area, they have devised a way to manipulate the flow of water so that they can force longer contact with the plates. The auto flow control is nothing more than a built-in regulator that limits the physical amount of water that can pass through the machine at any one time. With an auto flow control sensor, which is connected to a control valve, it would not matter how high you were to turn on your faucet because the valve would control the flow once the water actually entered the machine. With the flow reduced, the water pressure is less and the water passes over the plate slower and in less volume. This results in the water having higher out of the machine readings, but the properties are very unstable and dissipate very quickly. The auto flow control is one of the main reasons that the other ionizers take so long to produce any real quantity of ionized water. The flow rate is typically 1/3 to 1/2 that of our machines. The amount of power and the large plate size are what allow our machines to be able to operate without this type of flow control. This is just one more design flaw that the competition spins into what they consider a product feature. As you can see, the competition has taken a lot of time to develop their spins, and they are more than ready to try to spin your prospects from the best ionizer on the market to what they have to offer. It is your job to protect your prospect by knowing how the competition spins things, and by warning your prospects of what they will find. Don't be afraid of the competition, because really, we don't have any competition. We just have other companies that happen to sell other ionizers. Always remember that the reason we are able to provide people with samples of the water is because our machines can produce properties that are strong enough to last for several days. Also remember that the reason that the competition has not followed our lead with sampling people their water is because their machines do not produce water which is strong enough with strong enough properties to last for several days, which is the only reason they do not sample their water. They can say whatever they want. The bottom line is that their water does not have the properties to support sampling. Educate yourself to the difference between what they have to offer and what they have to offer, and recognize that there truly is a difference. And what they have to offer and what we have to offer, and recognize that there truly is a difference. Remember, when you think something, there is room for doubt. But when you know something, you become bulletproof. Know that the other ionizers have major design flaws. Know that the sellers of these other ionizers will do and say almost anything to procure a sale. Know that your prospects deserve the best value and product for their money. Know that our ionizers produce the longest lasting and most beneficial properties. Know that you represent the best ionizers on the market. Don't just think these things, know them. Now that you know more about the competition and their product features, I am going to address one more thing regarding the competition, which is why they work so hard to use the efforts of Enagic distributors to sell their own products. The answer is easy. They engage in what is referred to as predatory marketing, meaning that they create marketing and advertising campaigns that prey on prospects created by someone else's efforts. You see, because most of these other ionizer sellers have so little at risk, they are not willing to put much into actually trying to procure their own customers. They rely on trickery, deception, high-pressure sales techniques, and manipulation of emotional response to get consumers to purchase their products. Most people don't truly understand just how much time and money it takes a company to turn a consumer into one of their customers. In marketing, this is referred to as the cost of customer acquisition, meaning how much money a company actually has to spend in order to earn the business of a customer. So that is where I'm going to end that little area. So I recommend you guys that if you can't buy this book, that you watch the replay of this, because there is going to be, I am recording it. It is going to go up onto the YouTube channel, so you guys can get it anytime you want to, and you can fast forward to the part about the slamming versus informing. You really want to learn that. You really want to learn to inform and not to bash and slam. And so anyway, I hope that this provided you guys with some information that will be helpful as you go out there helping the KONG family, being part of the KONG family, and helping us accomplish our simple goal. We just want to change the world, kids, and we're doing it. It's happening every single day. It's happening. One glass of 9.5, hydrogen-rich, oxygen-saturated, incredibly hydrating KONGen 9.5 at a time. One lightning bolt in a box, one incredible guest, one fun, informative, awesome show at a time. And so with all that, kids, I want to let you know that we got a really super special guest coming on Wednesday, a guy named Ralph Fuhrer, who went from almost stage 5 dialysis to now he's down to stage 2. When I met Ralph, he's in somebody else's group. When I met him, got to talking to him, found out about what his problems were, and I suggested to him, he already had a KONGen machine. I suggested to him that he follow the 11.5 and the 9.5 protocol. And in two months of doing that, along with some organic cranberry juice, he has literally turned his kidney problems around. And so we're going to have him on Wednesday. Looking forward to that. So I hope you guys will be here for that and come and support Ralph and share out his story. I think his story is going to be really powerful for helping us to help people understand what's going on and how they can help their body heal itself. So anyway, with all that, kids, love you guys so much. Make it a great day. Get out there, change the world, starting with your own. And of course, do not forget your hugs, kids. These things right here are really, really important. Do not forget your hugs and your HooDeeHooos. Love you guys. Make it a great one. Bye for now.